Today, I'm going to be attaching all the hardware to this killer Warmoth Regal body, so stick around. Hey everybody, it is Aaron at Warmoth, and if you regularly watch the Warmoth YouTube channel, you already know what this is, but if you don't, this is a Warmoth Regal body, and this is one of the things that's going to be in a limited run set that Warmoth is releasing. We're either going to call it Black Gold or Texas Tea, and the limited run, each set is going to include a Warmoth Regal body, a matching Warmoth Hombre neck, and a killer set of Righteous Sound pickups that also match. In the last video, I added all the hardware to the Hombre neck, and in today's video, I'm going to be adding all the hardware to the Regal body. That'll include the output jack, the pickups and pickup rings, the strap buttons, and I think that's probably it. If I have time, I will actually attach the body to the neck. I'll see how long this video runs. But let's get started. So the first thing that I like to do when assembling a body is put the strap buttons on. I just think it makes the body easier to hold and manipulate. And for this build, of course, we have the gold oversized strap buttons, my favorite kind of buttons. And then in addition to that, we also have black felt washers, because anything less would be uncivilized. They just give it a nice finished look. So the first thing I'm going to do is drop the screw into the button and then thread on the little felt washer. That'll just kind of help everything stay in place. And then once that's done, you want to, this is the amount of screw that you have to drill a pilot hole for. That's the depth. And I've already done it, you can see here, but if I compare it to my drill bit, I've already measured to make sure it was the right size, and you can see I've put that piece of tape right where that screw ends so I don't over drill. Let me do that for the other strap button really quick. So I went ahead and applied tape so that I can make a little mark with my pen, and I marked where I want to drill the hole. I did it both on this end and here. So now I'm just going to go ahead and use this little punch that I have to make a punch right there. And this is just to make a little dimple in the finish so that my drill bit won't wander when I start to drill this hole. All right, so now we can go ahead and drill. And the final thing that you need to do whenever you are installing hardware onto wood and it's going through a finish is chamfer the edges. And for that, I like to use this little chamfer bit. It's a little hand tool that you can get from StewMac. And you just chamfer that hole, the edges of that hole, just a little bit. And that pushes the paint back so that when you drive the screw, the threads will not crack the paint. It doesn't take much. You can see it just pushes the finish back just enough so that when you drive the screw, it doesn't crack the paint. Do that on both sides. All right. So now we can grab our first strap button, install a little bit of screw wax or slipstick is what I'm using here. And go ahead and install these strap buttons. All right, easy peasy. We now have strap buttons installed. That'll make all the subsequent stages of installing stuff on this body easier because you have points where you can easily grab a hold of it. And next up, we are going to install the jack plate. And for that, I have this Godo square jack plate. Let me open it up real quick. And my biggest tip for installing jack plates is to always mount them with the jack attached and a cable inserted. The reason why is because these little clips here, when you push a cable in, they have to expand and then pop into place for the cable to fully be inserted. And you have to make sure that once it's in the jack hole here, that it's situated in a way that those cables or those clips can fully expand. If you get it too far, too close to one wall or the other, the cable won't fully expand, and that means you can't get your cable in or out. So I always like to do it with the jack installed. So let me attach this really quick. And by the way, this crazy looking jack here is a Planet Waves stereo jack, which is not necessary for this build. We're not going to do anything that requires a stereo jack, but another little feature that these stereo jacks have that Warmoth sells is they're gold. So you don't have to break your color theme. Gold 1/4 inch jacks are very difficult to find, but here's one. So let me attach this. I'll use my little 10mm deep socket that I keep attached to this screwdriver handle. I just leave this attached all the time because I use it so often for tuners and jacks and everything else. Just makes it so easy, and you want a deep socket so that you can have the clearance to reach down over pot shafts and all kinds of things. Very handy to keep this at the ready all time. Okay. The other thing is that the square jack plate and all jack plate, well, I shouldn't say all, most jack plates have a slight curve, and you want to make sure that you match that curve with the curve of the body. It sounds simple, but it's amazing how often it gets missed. You don't want to attach it like that because the curve is going this way. You want to attach it like that so the curve matches the body. And then you're just going to pop it in there and make a little mark where each one of those screw holes need to be drilled. And for that, I'm going to apply some tape. And now I've got my jack plate with the jack installed and a cable. I install the cable, and then I put that in there. Oh, see, I did what I just warned about. I've got the curve mismatched. So let me rotate that. And then I always like to do a quick cable check, just to make sure the cable comes in and out with no problems, because there's nothing worse than not checking that. You get the whole guitar assembled, and then the first time you go to play it and you're so excited and you realize you can't get the jack in, or you get it in and you play for a while, then you're done and you can't get it back out. So always good to check it right now so that you can fix any problems before they arise. All right, the next thing I want to do is mount these pickup rings on the body, but in the same way that I prefer to have the 1/4 inch jack attached to the jack plate when I install it. I like to have the pickups mounted in the pickup rings when I install them on the body. I just feel like it helps me get them into position a little bit better. So let me grab the pickups. If you have watched the previous videos in this series, you know what this logo means. This is the Righteous Sound logo. And included in each of these sets is a set of Righteous Sound pickups that was specifically made to match the body and neck. So let me get these out right now. And you'll see that they have matching gold perloid tops. So they're pretty righteous. They're righteous looking as well as righteous sounding. Let me get both of these out and we'll get them mounted in the pickup rings here. And one thing I just now noticed is, like, a lot of manufacturers will just put a sticker on the back or write on the back what the pickups are, but he actually has a little plate mounted here with the logo and then which position they go in. So that's kind of a high-end touch. But anyway, let's get these bad boys mounted up. And the order of operations when you do this is always three-way switch, then neck pickup, then bridge pickup. And that's because to get the three-way switch wired up, you have to have access to these two cavities. And to get the neck pickup installed, you have to have access to this cavity. So if you don't go in that order, you're going to end up pulling it back out. All right, so let's go ahead and wire up the three-way switch. This first wire here is the one that has to run the entire length of the guitar. Or the guitar body, I should say, all the way from the three-way switch to the jack. So I like to leave this one long, just leave it as 24 inches or something. These other two wires are going to come off of each of these contacts and go to the volume of each pickup. So these need to be maybe about 18 inches or so. They can be a little shorter. Of course, you're going to want to measure on your guitar. And you can see that I have this running across the top of the three-way switch. You want all the wires headed that direction because they're all going to have to be funneled into the wiring channel, and they're all going to kind of be bundled together right here. So even though this is coming off this side of the switch, you want it running that way. Okay, so I've got my pickups in the mounting rings, and I've got my three-way switch all wired up and ready to be installed. Now, another tip that I will give is when you get the three-way switch, it comes with two nuts. It comes with just like a straight nut, and then it comes with a recessed nut. And I see so many Warmoth builds where they just put the straight nut on. I don't know if they're not sure what this is for, the recessed nut is for, or they just don't want it. I don't know, but if you just use, if you get rid of the recessed nut and you just use the regular nut, the three-way switch ends up standing so proud out of the body, it's just weird. So what you need to do if you want a traditional look is you take the regular nut and you just screw it all the way down, all the way to the bottom. And that will recess this switch so that it is the traditional height. And then you use the recessed nut on top of that, and this is what gets sandwiched in between there. All right, so let's go ahead and attach this neck. And remember that the neck pocket is slightly tapered, so you never want to slide the neck into position this way. You always just want to push it into position from the top, just like that. And here we've got the neck in position. So we're going to place our neck plate pad and then our neck plate. And because this body has the contoured heel, we have these two different lengths of screws. The shorter screws go on the outside. Longer screws go on the inside. And I have already attached this neck. This neck has already been attached, so the threads have already cut a groove in the wood. So I need to find that groove again. I don't want to continually be cutting a new groove in the wood, and you do that by simply turning the screws backwards until you feel them drop into the grooves that the threads have already cut. It's the same principle as like screwing on a salad dressing lid, and we instinctively turn it backwards a couple turns until we feel it drop into the grooves, and then we spin it on. It's the same principle. So you just turn this backwards. There, until you feel it drop in the groove, and then you can drive the screw without cutting new grooves. And I'll just do that for every screw. When you listen closely, you can almost hear it kind of thunk into the grooves that are already cut. You don't really have to over tighten these. It doesn't take a whole lot of tension for these to be tight enough. All right, so we got this thing together. It's starting to look a little bit like a guitar. I'm trying something different on this build. I'm gonna wait until after the strings are on to actually mount the pickup rings. I was originally gonna mount them beforehand like I normally do, but then I said, you know, let's try something a little different and wait till the strings are on. See if that helps us get the pickups so that the pole pieces are directly under the strings a little better. I don't know. I've done lots of builds and I figured I would try something different on this one. But you can see it's starting to look like a guitar, starting to look like a pretty cool guitar. Fishing those wires through the channel was a little tricky, but I got them all the wires are collected there in the control cavity. So the next video will basically be installing the bridge and all the pots and then wiring this thing up. And then we should be ready to string it up and start doing a setup. So that'll be in the next video. In the meantime, if you have any questions about Warmoth Regal bodies, about Warmoth Hombre necks, or about anything else related to Warmoth, make sure and visit our website or give our customer service reps a call. And until next time, keep on picking.